Celtics.
There you go.
No,
Let's
I'm
go.
going with
Let's
that.
get it on. And by the way, ticka.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing though, ladies? How y'all doing, Nick? How y'all doing? Y'all doing okay? Y'all have a nice weekend?
Yeah, great weekend. Really exciting game yesterday. I'm still trying to calm down. Cavs are my second favorite team, so I was
Hmm. Hmm.
just really pulling for them. And man, was that a gripping series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they are gripping.
I gotta totally agree with Nick. It was, and I'm literally just back in town. I was down in Tyson Corner. I think it's Tyson Corners, Virginia. It was sheer
Mm-hmm.
pandemonium. There are Cavaliers fans everywhere, and that game was just. I was down there with my cousin, and I'm going to get into one of her comments about DG. I really want your feedback, but I mean, it was so stressful. She had to do retail therapy the second half, but I stuck it out.
If by gripping you mean frustrating, then yes, it was very gripping. If you mean hot and cold, yes. If you mean a clinic in bad head coaching, yes, it was all of those things.
Ooh, bad head coaching. Well, obviously we're gonna get to that, but let's just go ahead and get into our observations of the series overall between the Cavs and between Orlando. A lot of people were saying that this was going to be a sweep, and it wasn't a sweep at all. I think during Game 3, I think that's when I took to Facebook and said, "Hey, you guys, this is going to go a 7-game series." I knew then, based on everything that had been taking place, based on the way that they were playing on the road. I mean, almost getting blown out by 40 points. There was no other teams in the playoffs getting beat by 40 points, on the road or anything like that. And I'm like, hey, this Orlando team is a lot tougher. But, one of the things, as we mentioned last week, we split with this team. And then the last game that they played against us this season, they came in and beat us. They didn't beat us handily, but I think they beat us by over 10 points. So, I'm like, this is a formidable, competition here. And like I said, I expected it to go 7 games after Game 3. Did you guys expect this series to go 7 games as well?
Well, as before last time I was on your show, Rachel, Sapphire will remember this. I said Cavs in 6. I know Sapphire and I went back and forth on it. I think she had the magic, but I could tell you were really nervous. But I have to say, defensively, the Cavs really answered. Either team just did not fly off the page for me offensively. That is a concern moving forward for the Cavaliers. Their shooting percentage in this series, I believe I had it written down. Overall, in all 7 games, their shooting percentage was only 39% averaging. So definitely have to clean that up for the Boston series. But I thought that when the Cavs won narrowly in Game 5, there was a good chance it was going to come back because it was one of those weird series, Rachel, where the road team never really got that momentum in the fourth quarter, and it really helped the team really got hot, the road team, I should say, in the fourth quarter, and it really helped the home team prevail in all 7 games.
And I'm going to say, yeah, no, I definitely had the Pacers for this series. Absolutely, I'm still going to ride with my takeaway that Banchero is just an emerging talent. I mean, he's just a baby. I mean, he is just on the precipice of really being that type of player that can win those game 7s that we saw yesterday. So yeah, I had the Pacers. I'm happy as a Cleveland
Magic.
Cavaliers fan. I'm sorry. Yes, magic, magic, magic. I'm happy as a Cleveland Cavaliers fan that they made it through. And then I know we're going to get into the particulars of what we're all concerned about as well.
Okay.
After Game 3, I thought it was going to go 5, maybe 6 games. I did not know we wouldn't be able to win a game on the road. You're not going to get very deep in the playoffs when you can't win a game on the road. It's frustrating because it's the streaky nature of what they're doing. You can't keep getting down by 12, 15, 18 points and then be like, well, that one time we came back, and then think you're going to come back. When you're shooting under 40%, that's when your defense needs to step up. It's okay if you're not hitting shots, but you don't let them hit shots. It's coaching. They get in your head, and then this team is very susceptible to an opponent getting in their head. I thought we learned a bigger lesson against the Knicks last year. I was completely wrong. So I don't have them coming out of the next round. I can't. I don't believe in them. which makes me sad because I don't think Donovan Mitchell stays if we don't get out of the next round. But I'm sorry. I'm not feeling it.
What
Can
were
I
you about to
think-
say, Nick?
Oh, real quick. I think, too, adding to your point, I think this series really shifted towards a different path once the Cavs lost Jared Allen, because I told you ladies a couple of weeks ago, he was my X factor. He dominated the post in games 1 and 2. And at that point, I thought the Cavs were on the verge of sweeping Orlando. He gets hurt. They go down to Orlando. That changes the game. Rib injury, it really sucked, because I really thought that changed everything, and that really kept Orlando in the series. He stays healthy. I do believe they still win in 6 games. I think they win that game Friday night.
Oh, I didn't notice that you had on a Boston T-shirt as well. So you didn't tell me. You didn't tell me that you was going to do all this. You didn't tell me that you was going to be full head to toe in Boston gear doing this show today, Nick.
You would
I
have
can't
said
believe you play me like that.
Just let it go, Rachel. There's 2 things. So the first thing about Jared Allen is, for me, I'm gonna complain about JB. You got to have an option. You got to have a plan B for when any of your guys go down. You can't have that. That is not an excuse for not playing well. My biggest issue in this series, and it didn't matter if they were home or away, was 75% free throw shooting. That is shameful. Shameful. You got to hit your free throws, people. And hitting 75, they were 75% on the road and 76% at home. It's not even like that was the difference in the home versus away. It's just, that's terrible free throw shooting that you got to improve, versus what they did in the regular season. You got to hit your free throws in the postseason.
And Kate, that's a great point you bring that up, because they were not getting to the free throw line. And that was one of the things, I hate to talk about officiating, but there was a huge disparity in officiating in these games. So getting to the line was rare, especially even at home, where we're like, isn't the home team supposed to get the fouls called for them? That was not happening. And there were a lot of whistles blown in this series, but they were not usually in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers. So, making your free throws is essential, especially if you're not getting to the line that often. So that's a great point, Kate.
Well, and that's the conversation you have with the players. You're not going to get the calls that you expect to get.
Boom.
The way to combat that is to sink 95% of your free throws. You can't miss the opportunity to put points on the board when they do let you have they're called free for a reason, people. Mm-hmm. I can hit free throws.
Yeah.
But to Kate's point, and I don't want the referees to be like a factor in the outcome of the game. But what I saw were 2 different teams for the majority of the game. I saw a very hungry, very active, very deliberate and assertive, aggressive Orlando Magic team on that court. And what I saw, especially that first half, which was just absolutely ugly, was a lot of they didn't move the ball. They didn't pass the ball. They didn't move. It was like on Spider. So
I have the same. So Sapphire, I have the same complaint in this series that I did against the Knicks last year. The team I watched play this series is not the team I watched in the regular season.
Right.
What? Right. You were doing things in the regular season. It was working. You were winning games, and it's like you forgot how to move the ball and how to do those things when you get to the. That's when you need to dance with the guy that took you to the place. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't understand why did they abandon? It's like the Browns abandoning the run. It's that same thing. Why'd you stop doing what you were doing, what you were good at?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, I hate to go back to it, but losing Jared Allen just proves offensive rebounding really benefited the Magic, because Mobley, he had a great game yesterday, 5 blocks, but offensively he is atrocious. He's not that scoring center, and that's what the Cavs are missing when they're not hitting their threes. You get offensive rebound, and Jarrett pokes it back out, Mitchell gets another shot, or on the other end of the floor, Jarrett's presence in the post is able to kind of stop the transition game and kind of neutralize Banchero. And, the Cavaliers did not have a backup center ready to go. Marcus Morris was not the answer. Tristan Thompson was not the answer. Both of those guys at the end of their career. So I think that needs to be something that's addressed moving forward.
I'm sorry, Nick.
Did 10 offensive rebounds a game at home, 4 away.
And I'm sorry, Nick, I'm still trying to get over the fact. Did you say Evan Mobley and center in the same sentence, or did I hear that in my head? I'm sorry.
According to the starting lineup, he was
Yeah.
at the 5.
Come on,
yes.
man. I really was having major anxiety attacks every time that young man had the ball in his hand. First of all, he looks the same stature that he did coming out of SC to me. It doesn't look like his footwork is horrendous, right? Like you're that, I mean, in the paint, you gotta dominate. You gotta go up there like you want to rip that rim off of that backboard. He's so passive. Like to Kate's point, where is the coaching? Hello?
The
Development.
development. Jinx.
Well, and he was trying to act like Zach Edey with that hook shot.
Ah!
6 and 7, he kept missing on the front of the rim. I could do that.
Exactly.
You
Exactly.
know, one game in which, Jarrett was missed, but, Donovan was able to be that inside presence was game 6 on the road where he had the 50 points and, he didn't get much from his supporting cast. But, that was one game. Even though they didn't win, you're like, okay, there's no Jarrett, but, Donovan was able to dominate in the paint. So that's, a positive thing because there's no guarantee that there's going to be Jarrett any, this series going in because, he was elbowed by Franz Wagner. That's how the injury occurred. And I think then he took another elbow. So, they were talking about, it hurts for him to breathe and stuff like that. I didn't realize the seriousness of the injury because I'm just like, wrap them ribs up like a baby back and get back in there. We need you. But yeah, I didn't realize the severity of the injury. So I don't know if we're going to have him at all. And I didn't want to get to Boston just yet. But, we might not have Kristaps Porzingis. But back to my original point was that, Donovan was able to be a presence inside the post when you thought that, somebody like him wouldn't be on Friday. So, yeah.
Yeah, but the problem that I see is, listen, Donovan is what, 6'3", 215? He's not a 6'8", 270, you know who. Like, I mean, I'm just saying the turnaround time on these games. Look, 50 on Friday. Then he came back last night. Like, yes, he's young, but he's close
39.
to 30 now. I mean, this is what I'm saying. Like, and for me, with all due respect, they better put a corset or something on Jared Allen. He needs to be in this next series. I don't care. This is why you get paid $20 million a year. You need to be on that court with Mobley for this next series.
I didn't understand why they didn't have him in game 7. It's win or go home. You can recover later. You needed him in game 7. Even if it was limited minutes, you could have wrapped his ribs and let him be in there for at least part of it, at least something. This isn't the middle of the season where he can take some time off. This is win or go home.
Yeah,
well, I will say too, real quick. I was told, this is unconfirmed news, but supposedly his injury is so bad he is having issues extending his arms over his head. So there's no way you can rebound. So I'm not going to question his toughness. I understand what you ladies are saying. I agree with you. But from what I'm being told, the injury is more serious than the team is letting on, and they want to keep it hush-hush, obviously. So I hope that he can play in the next series. But one more thing, I know I have a Jared Allen man crush. I'll admit it. I love the guy. He's a great contributor to the team. But
you're jealous of his hair.
But Sapphire, here's another point to what you were saying. Mitchell is dropping 50, 45. He needs help. Consistent help. Darius Garland is not reliable. Jared Allen was that second option. So you lose him, that is a whole nother can of worms they're opening.
Yeah, about DG, it's curious because we're inside our bubble, right? And I was hanging out with my cousin watching part of this game yesterday with her, and she's like seriously man crushing on DG. She feels when she looks at it that he has more control of the offense and gets more people involved, looks for them more than Spider. Like it is curious to me how differently we all see these games. So I wanted to push that out there because I know she's listening, but I want to go back to Jared Allen. To your point, Nick, whether that rumor is true or not, then how do you get on a plane and go to probably at least 30,000 feet, altitude, right? If your ribs really are in that bad of shape, right? And think about how big he is, how tall he is, traveling. People wear compression garments, okay? So you're telling me, not you, but the rumor is that his injury is to an extent where he can't move. Why are you traveling with the team?
You're going to support your team, your brothers. Absolutely. I would go no matter what, even if I couldn't play. I'm going to cheer them on. I'm going to give them advice. They need his knowledge too, Sapphire. He can help
Evan Mobley wasn't listening to any wisdom that Jared Allen was imparting upon him. Shout out to my cousin Heather Flynn in DC who's listening.
Okay. Hey, Heather.
I will never question a player's toughness. But if you're going to put him on a plane and send him, and part of it for me is, and I do this with every sport, just tell me what the injury is. I hate this. We can't really tell you what it is. We got to keep it a secret because then you make fans question what's real. We're still hearing things about the Browns quarterback and what his actual injuries have been. Like, just tell me that Jared broke them ribs, that they had to tape him up, that it's not a simple matter of, I mean, there's a lot of things that can happen in that rib area as far as muscle and tear and not just ribs. Just tell us what the injury is. It's not some super secret strategic thing you don't want the other team to know and be done with it. I do not have an any optimistic feelings whatsoever on this next series. And the way they played without Jared Allen is just further proof to me that the front office does not have the right people on that roster. They don't have a next man up. They don't have someone who can come in and at least fill in short term when they lose a piece. They are entirely dependent on at least two, if not three of those guys. And as we saw, if any one of them goes out, we're done.
All right, guys, we're going to take a break really quickly. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
Wow, the spread is 11.5 tomorrow. Wow.
I may have to take the Cavaliers just for that reason.
You should.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because what? How many games is Porzingis out?
So basically, I've been told through my Celtic insiders that they're going to go with the pace of the series. If Boston's in control, he won't play at all. If they're in trouble and they need the help, then he's going to try to rush back. So they're saying more than likely he won't make it back till the ECF. So.
See, I would be if I'm Bickerstaff, I'm telling my team that they are disrespecting you and feel like they don't even have to put their center on the court. I mean, every shred of motivation, right? I'm giving to these players.
Yeah.
All they needed was to make them sit and watch film of the Celtics series last year. You going to go out like this again? For all the crap that we took in the entire offseason about that should have been on the billboards for the series with Orlando of prove them wrong. I'm just aggravated with JB right now. It's not even.
You should be. He earned your aggravation.
But you know what? It's not just.
And I'm not a fan of Kobe Altman either.
I get aggravated at Joe Mazzulla. Don't laugh. So it's not just you. It's every team.
Yeah.
They're so deep, though, at center. So that's one of the reasons why they're not wanting to rush him back.
If you believe that you're deep at center, then some of those guys that you have in your depth line need to get more minutes in the regular season so that they're actually ready to step up when they need to.
Cleveland,
The
why are you talking so much
rotations are atrocious. He does not develop these players to play significant minutes.
I agree with you. I mean, Luke Cornett saw a lot of minutes in the regular season.
All right. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. Y'all was having a show during commercials. I missed y'all. So we got a couple of comments that
I was just saying, thank God for Max Strus.
So George Bendicky says Evan Mobley is a center USC trying to play a strong forward position. This is always an evolution to get it right. By the way, he's only 22 growing up in front of us. And then Joyce says, I enjoy watching the show via the WOVU app, but stopped in here to see Nick's Couture. As always, kudos to you all on such a great sports conversation. Go Cavs. Thank you, George. Thank you, Joyce. We appreciate you guys supporting us as always. Yeah, Nick got on Couture that I don't approve of. I do like the color green, and that's about it. So, Kate, you were saying, thank God for Max Strus.
Oh, y'all want Boston? You're about to get it tomorrow.
I wasn't chanting that. And I'm like, they're about to get all of Boston that they can handle. And I could not believe that they were actually cheering that. They have lost their minds. Cleveland fans are crazy. I don't know what was in the dust that night, but them chanting "We want Boston," I was like, oh my God.
When you win a game like that, you're on cloud nine, and it was all.
It's probably a lot of Bacardi flowing too out of that lounge.
They don't shut the drinking down quite nearly early enough.
Because that was in the fourth quarter too, so I think it was shut off. Kate, what was you saying about Max Strus now?
Well, thank God for Max Strus, young man. At certain points, especially in Game 7, he was the only one who could hit a shot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's two things I highlighted.
I was very happy for him. I was very happy that they got Marcus Morris.
Mm-hmm.
In that trade. That was I don't know that we would have come out of this series without him. He had some very key plays and things. We can look forward to the Celtics series. I've had problems with them since Kyrie went there, so I'm not a fan.
Okay.
I'm not a fan, but it is what it is. We're going to talk about the Kentucky Derby. That was more fun.
Did you watch that?
Oh, yeah.
Who won?
Mystic Dan, horse number 3, Mystic Dan.
That's not a great horse name.
Y'all, it was a 3-way photo finish.
Oh, really?
Horse number 3, horse number 2, and horse number 11, Forever Young. I don't remember horse number 2's name. Literally nose. Like there's never been a 3-way photo finish in the 150 years of the Kentucky Derby. 3-way.
Really? None of those were. Who's the trainer that be cheating? Bob Baffert or whatever?
Oh, I don't know.
None of those.
I just like watching the hats on the women. Them hats are crazy. And then people are drunk by the time the race goes off at 7:00 because TV coverage started at 2:30. The race kicked off at 6:57.
Yeah, I just look at that as a sport for rich people, and I ain't rich, so I don't be paying no attention.
I just tweeted out there's 150,000 people in Louisville at Churchill Downs for the Kentucky Derby. There were 275,000 people. 156,000 people paid for tickets to be in. It's not a stadium, in the racetrack. There were 275,000 people in Detroit every night of the draft.
Oh my God.
Football is king, my friends. You can call horse racing the sport of kings, but.
So Churchill Downs holds
156,000 people.
Oh my God.
It's massively huge. That was the attendance that day. I don't know how many more they could have crammed in. I don't know if they brought in extra bleachers or whatever extra. It was the 150th anniversary, so it was like a big deal down there. But
I can't even imagine with the dresses and all the fashions. I would be in tennis shoes all day. Like I don't know.
No, I would put you in a dress, and we would these big old hats that would. Smack
I didn't say I wouldn't wear a dress. I definitely would
take all these people out when you're walking down the hallway. I just love the hats.
I definitely would wear a dress. I'm just wearing tennis shoes because I'm not going to be in those heels all day long. I'm about comfort now, not about. We was at the combine. What were we in?
We were in tennis shoes, but we were also running around a lot.
Exactly.
We run a lot.
That's the way I roll now. I'm all about comfort. So
do we have to talk about Boston, or can we just move on to the next topic? I'm trying to kill time without talking about Boston, but.
Well, we got to get to it, but hold on. Did we finish all of our Cavs? So one of the things was typically we have issues in the third quarter. Yesterday, we did not have those issues. Well, we couldn't afford to have those issues because yesterday something historic took place, and that was 18 points is the greatest deficit ever come in the history of a Game 7 in the NBA. So that was historic yesterday. I would have thought it would have been more, but it was 18 points.
Why we got to set records like that?
Huh? I know, because it's Cleveland.
Why we got to say? Everyone's like, we came back from 18 points, and I'm like, we let them get ahead by 18 points. Don't be. Yeah. This is not something to celebrate. You think Golden State shouldn't celebrate a 3-1? They lost 3-1. Anyway, You can call
Real
it
quick.
historic all you want. It was a historic collapse that led up to a historic recovery.
Real quick, Rachel, 33-15, the Cavs won the third quarter yesterday.
Okay. Yeah. And that's something we're not used to doing, is winning that third quarter. Usually our play declines. And, the Cavs slowly chipped away. One of the things is they said that they didn't panic, because I believe everybody in that arena was panicking and stuff like that. Anybody that was rooting for that team was panicking when they went 18 down, because that can set the tone for a game. And Orlando could have easily pulled away had they probably didn't have as much youth and experience. If they had more, they probably would have been able to win that game, but they didn't. So they allowed Cleveland to stay around, and they slowly chipped into that lead until they took control and, was able to win that game. But, one of the things is you saw, and when they got out to that 18-point lead from the very beginning, you just saw turnover after turnover. Evan Mobley had 6 turnovers, and these turnovers was glaring at the time that they happened. You just saw, not strong layups. You kind of saw them flipping the ball up, into the basket and stuff like that, missing bunnies. When you're inside the paint, and points are precious. Orlando had some length to them, so points are precious in the inside. And when they were able to get inside, they were just lifting up these flimsy balls. And it's like, you got to go strong. You got to dunk the ball sometimes. And I'm not saying dunking for style points, but dunking to actually get your points. If a layup isn't going to work. So, you saw some things that contributed to their own demise, getting down that low. And, I don't like seeing that stuff. They're not going to be able to afford to do that against Boston. They're going to have to be strong to the basket, because Boston will eat them alive. So a lot of those turnovers were just really communication issues and stuff like that. I guess, what was it the other night? We had an 8-second violation as well the other night with Karis LeVert had that turnover. Y'all remember that?
Yes.
Okay. I missed that because I was at the Guardians game, so I was trying to stream the game as well. But turnovers like that can't happen, especially against Boston.
Well, you know what? For me and Nick, I want your perspective on this. I think, if I'm not mistaken, DG went like 3 of 13, right? And it was that. Remember, Spider got that rebound, and it looked like he was driving to the hole, but he kicked it back out to DG, and he made that 3-pointer from the corner. It was the embrace, not only on the court, but as they went into that timeout when DG was on the court. Do you think there's something off the court affecting DG?
Well, we've talked about it before, Sapphire. I think that, with his injuries racking up, I think he's afraid to drive into the paint, and, he's a little deer in headlights. Sometimes he just locks up. I think it's a mental aspect. I really do.
Because when I think about the turnovers, like I thought there were other players trying to fill that void that DG left. Example, Max Strus. To me, the last couple of games, I've seen him get deep into the paint and then look to pass that ball off. So it's almost like it's a domino effect. I think not only does Jared Allen need to suit up, but DG needs to find his flow back again. That to me is why we look so helter-skelter, because our handles isn't in his zone, right? What do you guys think about that?
Well, and real quick, Sapphire, to your point, you just talked about that move where DG kicked it out to Mitchell. They need to do more of that. I've noticed in that series they really rushed a lot of their looks.
Yes.
They went to the basket too early. One of the things, and don't yell at me, but one of the things that the Celtics are great at is sharing the basketball, making that extra pass.
Yes.
Great teamwork. They need to play together.
Yes, they're going to be mad at both of us if they're going to be mad, because I think the Celtics run clinics on that ball movement, that extra pass. And it almost makes the final shot look easy because there's not that pressure, right?
You're right. And Mitchell's taking so many contested shots. He needs to make his life a little easier. Pass the ball, set up, try to get off the dribble a little better, and then boom, you have a good shot.
They're going to burn him out like an asteroid, Nick.
Oh yeah, this is a series that I'm scared about. But yeah, they weren't they weren't getting in rhythms, and they weren't getting in good looks, and that's one of the things that it could be the Cavs' downfall going into series. Kate, we're going to get in this Boston series in a second. I see you. But Sam, what was his name?
Merrill.
Thank you. Sam Merrill was able to hit a big shot. He contributed with 8 points, 2 threes that we definitely needed that rocked the house. But this team is going to have to slow it down a little bit, in the half court and play team basketball. They have to work to get good open looks. A lot of everything is just rushed, pass. And then, at the final, a couple seconds down because they had, 24-second violation, just a lot of passes and shuffling feet and not knowing what to do with it. So they have to come out confident. I feel like yesterday was a lot of a nervous energy, and then they kind of had to chip in from behind. So I need them to take a deep breath. I think, watch the film. I'm sure they've watched the film from Miami and the Celtics. I think once that happened, Miami was like somebody gave Boston Narcan when Miami beat them in Boston. And they woke up and they're like, this isn't going to happen anymore. This isn't going to happen no more. But Miami has showed you the blueprint that Boston can't be beat. Shut up, Nick. I see your face. Shut up.
Well, wait a minute, real quick. The Heat had to make 23 three-pointers to win one game, and they shot 63%. So can the Cavs do that 4 times? I'm done now. Go ahead.
Yes.
Listen, DG needs to show up. I got to ride with my cousin Heather on this. DG must show up tomorrow night for our team. If
you look at the individual stats, man for man, we match up with the Celtics just fine. It's the compilation. It's the 68 wins against 48. It's like, as a team, they play better. They substitute better. Their bench players come in better. We need to be a lot more judicious in our shot selection. Quit winging it up there. Pay attention to what's going on. Pass the ball. Sometimes passing the ball is the best choice you can make. And they need to do that. They need to be smart about their shot selection and their ball movement.
And are we going to talk about pudding pie, Rachel, or no?
We're going to talk about pudding pie, but we're going to take a break really quickly. So we're going to be right back. You are listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We'll be right back.
I know this is simulcast on Facebook. Is it on Twitter too? I can find the Facebook stream and I share that, but I can never.
Oh, I should do that too.
I can never get it like on Facebook or anything.
Wait.
We're talking behind y'all's back.
All right. Welcome back to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. I am here with the All-Star cast today. I got my girl, Cleveland Kate, who might be dipping out in a second because she got some responsibilities she got to take care of. I got Sapphire with me. I got Nick Tunes from BBSN Radio, and Brandy's going to be joining us shortly. Okay, shall we move on now to the Boston series, Nick? I know that, you've been chomping at the bit, for this series, but with your unbiased opinion aside, where are you at with this series?
All right. So looking at the series, the one thing I've noticed about watching both of these teams all season long is that actually you're going to laugh. The Celtics maybe not haven't played as spotty as the Cavs at time this year, but they have had their runs this year where they have played flat. And, there was 2 games in the Miami series where Miami just shot the ball worse than the Celtics, but the Celtics couldn't hit. We're outside of a barn, and they were able to steal games 3 and 4 down in Miami, and they shot 40% in game 3, and then they shot I'm sorry. They shot 46% in game 3 and 40% in game 4, and they were able to win both of those games. So I honestly think this is a good matchup. I think it will be fun. I'm debating back and forth between a 5 or 6 game series. I'm not one of those arrogant fans. I know the fans all over Facebook already getting the brooms out, but I'm not like that. I know the Boston Celtics, they're not built like that. They're built to play with a chip on their shoulder, and that's what they're doing. This is their revenge tour. They took care of the Heat, a team that knocked them out of the playoffs, and then the Celtics fans are still got salt in the wounds from 17 and 18 when the Cavaliers knocked them out. So
I mean, that was so long ago. Oh
please,
my
they're
God.
still mad at the Lakers for what happened in the 70s. How long have they been sitting at home doing nothing? When did that Heat series end?
Wednesday. So they'll have 6 days rest.
Yeah. We need to take games 1 and maybe 2, because while people will argue that the Cavs are tired, I will tell you that I see it all the time. Teams that get a bye in the playoffs can't get that rust off fast enough to get going. Cavs got to take advantage of the fact that they've been sitting for 6 days.
I agree.
And get on them early.
This is a big game because if they can steal game 1, then that can really take away home court. And this is huge. I almost think that this is almost a must-win game for Cleveland. You laugh, but it really is, in my opinion, because like you said, they have to take advantage of the rust factor.
We are not good on the road, and to win this series, we have to win at least 1, and your best chance is game 1.
Because the number 1 team in the NBA this year on the road was the Boston Celtics. So you have to win both games at home, but you got to steal 1 on the road. I agree.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm dipping out. It's been great. Nice to meet you, Nick.
You too.
Nothing but love for you, Miss Sapphire and Rachel. Y'all be good.
All right, talk to you later. All right, SK Love says, thinking 6 for this one. He said, I'm concerned about Tatum and if he can be the best player on a championship team. Thanks, SK. Appreciate your support. I'm worried about both of them, Jason Tatum and what's the other one? Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown. So I'm worried about Double J's. They are the engine that, makes Boston go. So I'm concerned, about them stepping up their play. Well, they've stepped up their play since the series against Miami. Like I said, it was like they were given a shot at Narcan because they couldn't believe that Miami came in there and stunned them. And then they was like, okay, we about to play our basketball. We've been denied from being able to get to the title game. The Heat came in there and did what they did to us last year. And we were the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference. And now, we're on the mission to make it to the, championships and win. And then considering they just came off of a title, not a title run, but, they went to the finals just a couple years ago and lost to Golden State as well. So this team is young. They're hungry. I don't agree with people when they say, they need to break this team up. I don't agree. They got rid of their coach, but he had them positioned and, so I don't think any of that matters. But I just
blow what team up, Rachel?
Talking about blowing up the Boston Celtics if they're not able to advance or do anything or win a title. People have talked about doing that, and I don't agree with that. I believe you leave that team as is, and you continue adding pieces. But people have talked about, hey, if the Celtics aren't able to do this, you need to break this team up, and obviously keep Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown is gone. So I don't. As much as I don't like the Boston Celtics, I don't want to see that team blown up. I think that team can accomplish something together with all of them together.
Sapphire, you have anything before I go on my rant?
I mean, for me, because I'll be brief because you need to exercise those demons. For me, it's kind of tricky. I think, believe it or not, I'm feeling the Cavaliers could have a shot if they can take game 1 in particular. Listen, in this moment, Porzingis is out. If we get Allen back, right? If DG can shake off whatever, he's going through between his head, I am confident, especially with Okoro's defense, if they put him on Brown and make the Celtics play defense, I'm not certain the Celtics are going to win this series. Go ahead, Nick.
All right, so here we go. So first of all, that was a good point, Sapphire. I actually agree with you. Game 1 is a must-win for the Cavs. Rachel, I don't think you blow up the team at all if they lose. Real quick, just because they already paid Jaylen Brown as the richest player in the NBA right now. Then Jason Tatum's about to surpass that this summer. He's going to have his ridiculous contract close to $400 million. So I don't think that's an option. I think that the executive of the year, Brad Stevens, who just won that honor, did a masterful
cut
job.
it as a coach.
That's true, but he has done a masterful job.
Absolutely.
I mean, he has traded for Derek White, and Derek White is my X factor. You guys haven't really watched Derek White, but in that last series, he took over against Miami when Tatum and Brown was struggling.
Yep.
They have depth this year, Rachel, and I think that that's what separates them from last year to this year. A healthy KP, Derek White, Peyton Pritchard off the bench has been big for them. Al Horford, who by the way has the number 2 plus-minus ratio in the NBA when he's on the floor.
Wow.
And now Horford's going to start Tuesday night. So I love seeing playoff Al, 17 years in the league. Call me a fanboy, but
it's been a long time.
To go to your point, Boston, yes, and the comment, Jason Tatum, absolutely. People have told me, I want to pick your Celtics, Nick, but the Jays have to prove they can win on the big stage. Just like my biggest criticism last year was, I like Jokic, but he can't get past the Warriors. He can't get past the top team in the West. They finally got over the hump. Now the spotlight is on Jason Tatum. If he wants to be the next poster boy of the league, this is his shot.
That's why you get physical with him right there. What he just said, Rachel, that's why the defense is what is going to win these games for the Cavaliers.
But do we have anybody that can get physical with them other than George Niang?
Listen, okay.
And who probably won't even be playing.
No, I mean, I can see why. What is he, -6 for plus minus? I mean, oh my gosh, why do you put me through this? Why do you put me through this? Now I'm totally distracted because somebody, I think they watched his jersey and it shrunk because he was looking mightily portly, okay, in this last game. But I just forgot my point. Let me get it back.
He probably is so in shape, though. Like marathon runner shape. So I'm like, we all laugh at him, but he probably in like the best shape of all time. No.
Listen, what do you have? 4 boards, two offensive, 2 defense.
It's
he had no points. It's horrific.
It was a bad series for him.
But my point is you can get bodies on the Celtics and hopefully the referees will let them play. That is the unknown variable here. Make them play on both ends. Again, we need both of our bigs in there and we need DG just to do DG. And if we can rotate, if we can bring our bench players in better than we did in this last series, I'm telling you, I think the Cavaliers are going to do a great job. I'm telling you.
I think too, Sapphire, a huge key will be, can the Cavaliers, the fact that they're thin in the post, will that open the door for Boston to attack more? Because you're looking at the number 1 team in the NBA in 3-pointers made and second overall in percentage. This is a lethal team that can kill you. If they get that extra pass and that open shot, 9 times out of 10, it's going in this year for the Celtics. So they have to limit and guard the perimeter. So the defense is really going to be key for the Cavs. They're really going to have to smother them outside.
I totally agree with you.
I would give up a 2 rather than a 3.
Okay.
All right. We're going to take a break right quick, guys. Okay. And you're listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. We will be right back.
And Nick, did they sign Porzingis to a long-term deal?
2 years, so 3 years total. Yeah, so they extended him. They're going to extend Derek White, so they're not blowing it up. Everyone's pretty much re-signing. Drew Holiday just re-signed, and Tatum's getting his deal this summer. So.
Yeah, they're looking real good. I mean, real good. And you're right about Derek White. Because I watched that series. I'm like, this guy is phenomenal.
Greg Popovich, student of Popovich.
Is he?
Mm-hmm. He's a Spur. Yeah.
Did not know that. Wow.
Greg Popovich called him the most underrated player in the NBA.
I'd have to agree with that. The little bit that I've seen.
I voted for him for All-Star, but he didn't make it.
Wow. Maybe next year.
Maybe next year.
Yeah, he should. He should have made it.
Well, Banchero finally made it this year. That was his first appearance.
Listen, man, all stud, with all due respect. That guy, he can play
Right.
outside,
Welcome back
inside.
to Her and the Huddle on WOVU and 95.9 FM. This is your girl, Rachel Hill, the First Lady of Sports. We got our special guest today, Nick Toombs on VBSN Radio, coming out of Mansfield, but he comes up to Cleveland and covers Cleveland teams. We got Sapphire Blue in the house with us, and we have Brandy Fairfax, who's just now joining us. So one of the questions that we got from the question room was George Bendicki, and he says, will Unicorn Porzingis be a factor, or is he a like Allen and probably won't be able to play? Do you think, now they say he practiced on Saturday, do you think he's going to be playing in this series?
No.
No.
I do believe it's going to go to the pace. They're going to keep him out games 1 and 2. If Boston goes 2-0, you will not see him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep, cut and dry. I hate to be that simple, but there's no need. And if you have everything under control, why would you risk it? They have done such a masterful job this year with limiting his playing time. He only played in 54 games, but that was by design because they know of his injury history. So the training staff has done a wonderful job with limiting him. I saw his interview this morning. He wants to make a historic return, but that's just the competitor in him. But I do believe that the Celtics aren't going to risk anything. And let's be honest, Al Horford's still balling, so why would you risk it?
I've hated Al Horford since he's played for Florida and they beat my Ohio State Buckeyes in the 2007 national championship game. And I think college basketball had it fixed because they wanted Florida to repeat as champions. So they did everything possible to make sure that they could repeat as national champions, which meant screwing Ohio State in that championship game.
Oh, boy.
What? I'm done.
Oh, KP, it's a shame that he got hurt because I would really like to see the matchup with him and Jared Allen, because if you remember, it was back in March and you and Jay were making me, laugh about this, but I was crying when I had to sit there when the Celtics had a 23-point lead and the Cavs came back and won on March the 5th. So that matchup, KP did not handle Jared Allen well. So it's just a shame that both of those guys are beat up because I would love to see them both healthy.
Well, also that took a historic performance by, and I listed that in our notes as well, a historic performance by a player who had his best career performance ever in that game to win that game, Dean Wade, and he is unavailable. He has not been, I think, right ever since that game. So, we don't have him with us. So, I just look at that like that was a game Boston probably should have won, and, they probably should have swept the season series.
And I'm curious, do they grade those calf injuries, Nick?
No, there was no official grade on that. All I heard is just it was a sprained calf. They said it was similar to the injury that Giannis Antetokounmpo had, but Giannis was out a long time, so I don't know if it was as severe, but
It's just fascinating to me. These guys, and to your point, they load managed him across the season, but he still came up with this, right? And I think about underlying causes, like what is it in the training, their regiment that, Rachel will tell you a real thing about injuries during the season. Is like there's something, what is causing that? And is it just the calf injury, right? Or is there something underneath that? Again, to me, listen, they can even put him out there. Like if I'm JB Bickerstaff, I'm telling my players, they are disrespecting you. They are saying they don't even need Porzingis to beat you, right? I every single shred of motivation I can find, I am preaching to my players. And this, even if he does show up, defense, physical defense will get him put back on that bench. I'm just feeling the Cavaliers in this series.
Who's going to provide the physical defense? That's been the issue, though.
Listen, I don't care if it's TT. I don't care if it's Morris. Put a body on him. This is what I'm saying. The Cavaliers have to play on both ends of the court. They have to be physical.
You got 12 fouls between the two of them.
There you go.
Between Marcus and between TT. Use them bad boys.
That's right. That's right.
Marcus, by the way, a former Boston Celtic, for the record.
So do you think he's sharing inside baseball? Honestly,
I'm
Do you
sorry.
think he's sharing inside baseball, like because of that? Because he's come from the Celtics culture. Like, is that allowed? I mean, what do you think he's bringing to our team because of his experience playing up in Boston?
I mean, I do think he still has that Boston meanness, the grit. However, it's a different system. He played under Brad Stevens, and Stevens is no longer the head coach. So Missoula's different. Sam Casella's there now, so he's implemented his system. So it's very different. But I do think that that he can help the guys. Okay, Tatum likes to drop back here on this side of the floor. This is the go-to move with the right hand for JB. So I do think that he will help with some tips. So.
Brandy, where are you at with this series? What are your observations about Cavs in Boston, which tips off in less than 24 hours now, right? Almost. Is it 8 o'clock tip off?
I think isn't it 7?
I think it's
7:30.
23
Okay.
hours and 8 minutes, but who's counting?
Not you, Sapphire.
right. For the Cavs, though, I'm kind of scared. Yeah, I really don't know how this series is going to go. I think this year, especially Boston is trying to prove a point. I think the past few years, people have, really came hard on them and how they've played in the playoffs compared to their regular season. And I know they spoke how, earlier in the year they came together like, this is the time we need to really pull it together as a team. And I think so far they have shown that. So, I think Boston's going to continue to play well this year in playoffs. KP, I don't really see him playing this series. I know they said he's kind of have a hard time walking still, but if I were them, just sit him because they're going to need him later on if they're able to advance after the Cavs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping that they don't play him at all. I hope that they take the Cavs lightly. I'm like, we're going to be able to take care of this. We'll save him for the Eastern Conference Finals against the New York Knicks, and just take us lightly. And we're not going to play him. Let him heal up because we're going to get through this series with a sweep anyway. I hope Boston has that attitude. And I think that they took Miami lightly, and Miami was able to sneak a huge win out. Them, and they struggled to play that perimeter defense. And what they say, Miami hit 23 3-pointers?
23-3. It was a franchise record for Miami.
Crazy.
Now, if only the Cavs can hit their 3-pointers to get a franchise record, that's a completely different thing. That'd be great if they could.
One game, Rachel. That was only one game though that they won, and they had to make their franchise record. But I don't know. I actually hope that he doesn't play because I really want Al Horford to shine. He needs to shine in this opportunity that he's still got it because he's ring chasing.
Okay, if the Cavaliers let, with all due respect, a 37-year-old baller get off, listen, I got to go somewhere, a different country, like that head coach in Arizona did for a year. I just cannot see that. Yes, Al Horford still has it going on, but to that extent, come on.
Yeah, you ain't letting Al Horford beat you. If you beat you, I'm embarrassed for them. Real quick, who's your X factor for this series coming up? For the Cleveland Cavaliers, who's your X factor?
I don't know who it will be, but the person I need it to be is Darius Garland.
Boom!
That's good.
I'm in agreement.
Mine is, believe it or not, Karis LeVert.
Okay. He was key for you yesterday and in Game 6. So
that's a good pick, Sapphire. If JB puts him on the floor.
Okay, Nick.
He's going to be on the floor.
I don't know. I got to ride with Nick. I got to ride with Nick.
He doesn't get enough minutes. I've said that forever. Karis LeVert needs to be on the floor more. Real quick, mine's Max Strus. You're in a shootout. You need Niang and Strus. You need your sharpshooters.
Yeah. And that was a great point to mention that because Karis admitted in the press conference he's a rhythm. He's a rhythm guy. So you got to get him in there. You got to give him those minutes so he can get in rhythm and be effective. Because, minus the nonsensical turnovers, he has proven that he can be a very effective player because remember, he was part of that original death lineup for the Cleveland Cavaliers with Karis, DG. Yeah, it was DG, Donovan, Karis, Jarrett, and Evan, originally death lineup like
Yeah.
Golden State, and then he went to the bench obviously to be more effective off there. Really quick, moving on to Guardians baseball. So predictions for the series. I'm sorry, the series will still be going on. Hopefully, we'll be back on air because next Monday would be Game 4. So it will still be going on when we're back. But predictions right now so far.
For the Guardians?
No, for this series.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Unbiased, Nick. You're our guest. You go first. Unbiased.
Okay, all right. I'll be honest. Celtics in 5.
Gentleman's sweep. Okay.
Yep.
I'm gonna say Celtics in 6.
Ooh, on Cleveland's home floor. Ouch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ooh, that is kind of tough, but I think Celtics in 6 too.
I want to be wrong.
Me too.
I want to be wrong.
Me three.
But I'm saying that it's going to be a sweep.
I'm feeling that too, but I didn't want to say that. But
I want to be wrong. If Cleveland plays the type of basketball that they played in games 3, 4, and they were much better in game 6. And even in game 4, they were riding with them until they got blown out. If they play that brand of basketball, they're not going to be able to withstand. I think Boston is on a mission this season, and I think that the Cavs are not going to be able to withstand everything that Boston is bringing. So those chances we want Boston, hello, because Boston's going to give you everything that you can handle. So
why would you do that?
And we can't win on the road.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. Thank you, Brandy, for pointing that out. The inability to win on the road. Now the Cleveland Cavaliers went 3-1 last year against Boston, so they were able to win on the road in Boston. It took 2 of those games went into overtime, I think, for them to be able to win. And pretty much this is the same cast of characters, except was Porzingis there last year?
No, and neither was Holiday, so throw last year out of the book.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, okay, but they were able to win some wins in Boston, so they showed that it could be done. But I think that what Brandy said, the inability to win on the road. So Guardians news, Stephen Kwan is out for 4 weeks. He's on the IL for 10 days, but he is out for 4 weeks. And Kyle Manzardo, who's supposed to be the savior of the franchise, has been called up, who's going to be playing tonight. So I thank you so much, Nick, for being a guest on here. Boo to the Celtics. Sapphire, thank you for being here. Brandy, thank you for being here as well. And you've been listening to Her in the Huddle on WOVU 95.9 FM. We are out of here.
Go Celtics.
Nick, listen, do you get any free tickets to the Texans game now that your guy Cade Stover is on the roster out there?
Can I get any? I can always ask.
Please.
I can text his mom and ask.
Let's mooch. Come on.
Hey man, I'm hoping they come to Cleveland soon. That way I can get a one-on-one with them. So.
Oh wow, that's going to be fantastic. I just think Houston is a team to be reckoned with. I mean, what more weaponry can they give, right, to CJ?